Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the payoff.
Jeff, we're going across the pond. UK pay-per-view.
Yeah, showing a little love to our friends over in the United Kingdom on this one. Just a fun show. Good little card here.
I mean, it's not quite the stage that we have now for these shows, but
no, definitely not. 2023 is going to be a lot of bangers with some of these shows that we're going to get. And so,
yeah, but it was just funny. Like, these rebellions were funny because it's like, you knew they existed. You'd see the results online. You'd never, I mean, dude, 1999, it's not like 2000, like, you weren't like going on YouTube and like watching all the clips from the show. So like you'd hear these shows took place, but you didn't know what the hell happened on them if you lived here in the States.
So 2000, this would have been your dial-up internet. Still, you weren't streaming this show. Yeah.
So why'd you pick this match?
This is one. It's really the names on this one. I felt like this was interesting because you do have at the time like four of the biggest names that are out there. They had a lot of merging storylines, but then also I thought it, like, kind of looking through this, it was interesting because this, well, you don't really see much of this anymore, but like this was a UK only. Like, we did not get this in the US, and so you really, it's almost in a lot of ways like a glorified house show for them. And so almost like the early days of like a Crown Jewel. Now, granted, we're watching that, but so much of Crown Jewel is, and it's getting better, but I feel like, when they first did it, it was really structured as just like a really good house show. But now, like, we are getting some big names, of course, and kind of things happening. And so, yeah, I think with this kind of that and everything kind of, Crown Jewel behind us and all this other stuff, I think that it's just interesting to kind of see how this played out, and especially to just the UK audience. And so, how they told the story on this one and what was going on and the continuation of things, and just a lot of different angles and questions that I had. And so that's why I kind of picked this one.
Well, and according to Wikipedia, this event featured 9 professional wrestling matches and 2 pre-show matches involving different wrestlers from pre-existed scripted feuds and storylines. So these wrestlers are going to portray villains, heroes, or less distinguishable characters in scripted events that build tension and culminate in a wrestling match or series of matches.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
It does. So let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
All right, so we're here in Sheffield. And this is on like my list, right? I want to go over there. I want to go to some soccer games. I want to drink beer, go to pubs, play some golf. I just my buddy just did that trip and just said it was amazing. So I'm excited for this. I love the United Kingdom. So. Yeah, they're trying to do this like annual pay-per-view UK rebellion thing. Kind of throw the kitchen sink at this thing. I mean, they're everyone's there. We start off Dudley's defeating Edge and Christian and Test and Albert in an elimination tables match. Ivory's going to keep her women's championship against Lita in 3 minutes. I mean, they did nothing for these women back in this.
No, 2 or 3 minute match. Yeah.
All of them, man. And it's like you knew it would suck before it started, not because, I mean, both of them can wrestle. I mean, Ivory can work, Lita can work. They just, never gave him a shot. Like, not, hey, go tear the house down for 10 minutes, like anything. Steve Blackman's going to keep his hardcore championship against Perry Saturn. Crash Holly's going to win the European Championship by defeating William Regal. Can't have anyone win in their hometown or home country, right? Billy Gunn and China would defeat Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero in a tag match. Kane's going to defeat Chris Jericho in 8 minutes. Right to Censor is going to keep the tag titles over the Hardy Boys. The Undertaker is going to defeat Chris Benoit. I never knew they wrestled. That would certainly be interesting. And then the reason we're here, the Fatal 4-Way main event. Kurt Angle is your champion. He is against Rikishi, The Rock, and Steve Austin. So, Jeff, how do we get to these four?
Yeah, like
four of our all-time favorites.
Really, looking at the card, you feel like it really is kind of like a hodgepodge, or just, like the most random pairings. Like, why Right to Censor and the Hardy Boys? Like, why, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, TNA, like Billy Gunn and China and Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. Like, it's just some, they make sense when you say them, but then also you're like, what the hell? And so, but this main event on this one here, again, just reminding everyone that this was a UK only pay-per-view. And so, taking place over there. And so Kurt Angle on this one, of course, you got to remember, like mid 2000s, that he was with Edge and Christian. You had Team ECK, kind of feuding, and they had some feuds with Rikishi. And so as I'm going through this, you're going to start to hear there's some crossover. And so it kind of makes sense why some of these guys are doing that. And so, of course, like Angle beating Rikishi in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament that year. And so you had that. You, of course, had the kind of weird Triple H Stephanie love triangle angle as well too. Angle losing to Triple H on that one. And so him, though, if you remember, there was the promo with that where Angle and Stone Cold got into it, because this was the time where Stone Cold was still looking for who had hit him with the car and run him over. And so you had that as well too. And of course, I say the famous, one of my favorites, shoving Kurt Angle's medal right up his ass. And so can't forget that one, of course. And so him, though, again, actually by like mid 2000s, actually going after The Rock at this point. So again, another participant here, and him having the WWF championship at the time. So that would have been No Mercy, actually just October, just like a month or 2 months before this. And so, of course, Rikishi getting involved in that match as well too with those guys. And so Angle beating The Rock on that one. And so to win the world championship. So, Rikishi and kind of Stone Cold, like I said, they had the angle, of course, where trying to run him over with the car. And so, the kind of all of that happening. And so that makes sense for those guys to kind of be in this match, and just kind of that story playing itself up. Of course, you had the handicap match as well too, with Rikishi, Angle, and Austin that was taking place, and Triple H getting involved in that one. We all know that Triple H revealing that Rikishi drove the car, but there's more to that story, which we'll talk about, of course, as everybody knows how that one kind of played out. And so Rikishi and Stone Cold were kind of playing up that kind of car angle and what was happening there. And then The Rock on this one, of course, he was actually feuding with Rikishi. There was the animosity there, and so he actually beat him at Survivor Series. And it was Armageddon, that previous show, of course, him having there was a 6-man Hell in a Cell match, which Angle actually won to retain that one. And so so these guys just kind of all in each other's universes kind of made sense. They were the biggest names, in WWE. And so putting them in a match, it just kind of made sense. It was a little, I said, an interesting kind of tidbit of what happened at the show here. There was actually, at the time, he was commissioner or vice chair, whatever it was, Foley. I forget exactly what title he had at this point, but, and so kind of coming down and announcing, not only would, this match be no DQ, it would also be no count out. So it was literally a match announced like just at the beginning of this show, just before this match took place, that we got a couple stipulations added to this one. It was actually Angle trying to convince him not to do it, but fully saying that the decision was final. And so, getting it. So, it's this fatal 4-way. It's also no DQ and no count out. So if we see any shenanigans, they are okay, according to the man himself, Mick Foley. So, and that's it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love Mick Foley as commissioner too.
Oh, great. Yeah, absolutely. And so good stuff, especially when he had that run with it a couple of years ago. Like, yeah, just really great stuff.
Yeah. And I kind of like the babyface campy commissioner better than the heel commissioner. Just, ugh. Just it's ran its course. If we never have another heel commissioner, heel regime again, I'm fine with it. And just by nature of it, think about how fucked up of a dynamic it is. So, hey, we want you to tune in. We want you to be, satisfied. So we're going to have a villain setting all the matches. Yeah. It makes no sense. Why wouldn't you be like, yeah, I'm a baby face, and hey, the two of you just seem like you can't finish this feud, so we're going to put you in a Hell in a Cell. Yay! Yeah, we love, Kurt Angle, we love Mick Foley, we love the baby. I think that makes a lot more sense. Like Triple H. I mean, he's a baby face. And they won't use him too much, I don't think. But when he comes on TV, it's for a big reason, and you're going to be happy with what he suggests. Why would you want Triple H to be a heel? Makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, cool. Rebellion 2000. We are at the 2 hour and 4 minute mark. 2 hour, 4 minute mark. Rebellion 2000. Jeff, are you ready?
Let's do this.
All right. It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
It's the WWF champion. No disqualifications. No count out. There must be a one.
Get ready to listen to a big pop here because we saw Austin coming in. Coming hot. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I mean, Jeff, you're looking at the screen. I'm looking at the screen. My God.
Going crazy.
What do you think of this version of his entrance, the song?
I prefer the OG. Don't need to.
Well, of course, but it was pretty badass.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, absolutely.
No issue with it. I thought it was pretty badass.
So we are brawling immediately here. You got a Rock tossing Rikishi to the outside. You got Angle and Austin in the middle here going at it as well too. Wasting no time. That's why we had to time this match just perfect so that we get right into the action here.
So fatal 4-way, no rules. You got the Rock and Rikishi outside. I mean, God, Jeff, this is 2000, right? And in 2023, you may have the Rock wrestling, against the Rikishi bloodline. I mean, just it's just crazy. It's just that whole family's just wild. I cannot say better things and sing the praises more of the bloodline. It is such a great faction. Paul Heyman. I mean, finally we got Roman Reigns over and figured out what in the hell to do with him. Usos, I believe, will go down as one of the greatest tag teams in the history of the company. Solo, I mean, I love them. Kind of like a modern day updated version of Samoa Joe.
They're building imperfect.
Yeah,
they're not overexposing anybody. It had to be tough, and I don't feel like it's even difficult in Vince's, if he was still around, to say we're going to keep our biggest star off of a show.
The Sami Zayn thing has no reason to be good, but it's beyond phenomenal.
We have to eventually get the turn here. Especially with some of these UK shows coming up that they're going to be doing, or Canada shows, excuse me, not UK, that you're going to see Kevin Owens and Sammy eventually, take on the Usos, and we're going to get that match. You get Angle trying to leave here, just doing the heel shit. That was great. And so, I think that, Sammy is definitely doing some of the best work of his career right now. It's almost funny because I always enjoy watching some of the promos that they're cutting. And especially Sammy is making them character in the ring. They're laughing at the stuff he's saying. So Roman is it's just fantastic.
The one, I think it was the night they gave him the T-shirt.
There was the number 2 promo, which I thought was great.
Reigns is, he's laughing in the ring. She's trying not to laugh. It was so good.
So good, yeah. And so I thought that's just fantastic. So, all right.
But I love it. I'll tell you, it's so funny because going into 2022, all the experts on Twitter, why would Sami Zayn re-sign with WWE? That's so stupid. He should go to AEW. He's being wasted. Guess what he said his favorite year in the business is? It's this year. What's the favorite match of his career? It's Johnny Knoxville. dude, this guy's having an all-time year. And I'm not saying everyone should stay, but it's like, it's just so easy for, like, look at the theme right now. Everyone should leave WWE and go to AEW, right? Hey, tell me how it's going for Miro. Tell me how it went for Malachi Black. Tell me how it's going for Big Show and Mark Henry. Who else is being, underutilized, right? So then you look at Sammy. Malachi Black says, "Hey, I made the right decision," and Sami Zayn's an idiot for staying. First of all, Sami Zayn's probably making a shit ton of money. Okay, just like KO is. I mean, these guys when they re-sign, they're making money. Okay, like they're doing really well. They're not working crazy dates like they used to. The schedule's not, you wrestle mostly TV matches. You do a couple, kind of stiffer matches on pay-per-views. But then, like Sami Zayn, man, like in the hottest faction in the company, probably in the business, right? Then you got that Johnny Knoxville match, which just like people will be talking about that in 10 years. It was like just a classic, like, crazy ass match. Like, so
just a fun Mania match. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just interesting when you're like, oh, you should leave. Like, dude, you never know, man. Oh, and everyone said that about Kevin Owens too. I don't care if Kevin Owens doesn't do another thing the rest of the year. The guy WrestleMania main event was fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin in 2022. And if he never does anything the rest of his career, he won't care because he main evented with Steve Austin.
That was what he wanted more than anything. He has said that. Like,
so would you, so would I. I mean, that's it. Like there is no. I mean, shit. One of the highlights of Pat McAfee's life is going to be taking the Stunners. I guess that was the following night.
But still, yeah, like being in the ring with Vince, he literally had fought Vince McMahon, So
now you got Austin Rock.
These eyeballs, baby.
I mean, these guys, the way these two look at each other, like the way that these guys,
holding the rock.
It's just God. They were just dynamite. The two.
Nobody on their feet, nobody in their seats. Everybody on their feet.
You forget. You don't forget, but like you remember how good they were.
Crowd is losing their mind too. Like they are this out right now.
Oh yeah. So I think this is an easy answer, but are you of the belief that every year, Stunner, Jesus,
great sell. Oh my God.
This should be over. That should be it. Ooh, an angle. Interrupting the count. And then an angle.
Wow. Are you of the belief that every year we should get one UK PLE?
Yeah, I think so. I think that
absolutely, right? Like, dude,
you're right.
If you give me a stadium show every year with like big ass matches, and like I'm in. I am completely in.
Well, and this goes back to like actually, me and my guys were just talking about this the other day. Like, like wrestling, like it's about the moments. It's about creating the moment. That's what they always talk about. Like, it's our Mania moment, like doing all these other things. And I think, especially in some of these giant stadium shows, like it speaks more to the moment. I think like, you and I, we were ready to go to Mania and then COVID kind of stopped us from doing that, back, before. And so big rock bottom here, of course, the camera flashes missed that. I think that, Rikishi pulling the ref out. Yeah, I think that it's so much of it anymore. And I've said this before, the production is built for TV. It's and less becoming more about the in-person. And so you and I, though, have become very good about where to sit, where, like what the price point should be. Like, I just recently did not go to a SmackDown because the price is just, they never got to where it's like, I'm not spending $120 for 200 level seats. Like, it's just not a thing I'm going to do. But being smart about some of that stuff. And so, yeah, I think that especially creating these moments, I think that you see different stars. People are going to pop for different reasons, especially like you put Drew main event and like wish he had won, in a UK show, like, they're going to have a bigger pop for that. So I think you have the opportunity to get different stars over different ways by doing shows differently. Like, yeah, you got to go outside the box of what you have been doing in order to kind of, and do something different, plain and simple.
I mean, this is just.
Triple H getting involved here as well too. Yep. DX is all of DX.
This is fun. Like, it's just something different. I mean, it's not. I'm totally fun. So here's the thing with like a ton of like Gaga and interference. Like, okay, Saturn's out here.
That was Eddie Guerrero. Sorry, and that was not Triple H. It's Edge and Christian. Yep. Big stunner there.
Got the stunner. It's got to be over. And look at the radical.
So, but if it's done right and it's timed right, okay, it's just, I'm fine with that. Like, not every match has to be one-on-one, 5-star classic, 2 people. Like, I'm totally fine with this just being like a complete car crash.
Can you get the angle slam on Rikishi here? He is. Oh, man. Snuck a win in there.
Kurt Angle just still. How in the hell did Kurt Angle retain his title? I'll tell you how. He had nothing but help. That's how. He had 6 people helping.
Well, we'll leave it on. There's still 7 minutes left in the show, so I'm curious, like, what's going to happen next. We'll
got more people running down to the ring too here. Like, yep. But Angle getting the hell out of that was Malenko and Benoit, I think, too. Yep.
They're trying to get the Radicals over. I was there the night the Radicals debuted.
Look at that. Yep.
Raw in Pittsburgh. Wow. Okay, so we're trying to get the Radicals over. Is someone going to come out and save them?
Well, and this is your kind of a house show. You're getting those people on TV that weren't going to be on otherwise. And so, yeah. Saturn takes a big rock bottom there. Yep.
And Austin now tossing
Guerrero into the rock bottom.
Rock bottom of Guerrero.
If this man is cooking.
Kurt Angle's got to be the luckiest man.
All right, suddenly I'm happy. So,
yep.
All right, let's get into the aftermath.
Oh, it's time for the aftermath.
Oh, what'd you think?
That was crazy. I enjoyed that though. Like that was bell to bell nonstop. Like, it definitely, kind of funky, Angle got it kind of funky after and stuff like that. But it all worked for me. Like, this was the epitome of kind of a send them home happy type thing. I get to see the people that you wouldn't have otherwise. And so, I thought this was, and then, the show ends though, or is about to end with, your 2 top stars standing in the ring, standing tall. So yeah, like what more could you ask for?
So one thing I forgot to ask you about, what did you think of The Rock's daughter's debut?
Oh, great. You and I immediately put her in a stable, keep her away from a mic. Like, let's get to know her. Like, the one thing I do, I say, give her I'm unsure right now of, do you tie her to The Rock? Do you say she is, this part of a wrestling dynasty? Like I'm kind of torn on that.
So I am actually in alignment with what it sounds like WWE has chosen to do. And I know this is what they've chosen to do because Shawn Michaels talked about it on a podcast recently. So Rex Steiner, we're not going to deny that he's a Steiner, but we're not going to give him the name of Steiner.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns. Look, he's The Rock's cousin. Yeah, his name's Joe and he played football, but we're calling him Roman Reigns. So they're going to build these names and brands around people. Braun Breaker, Ava Rain, I believe is her name, right? But we are going to acknowledge the relationship. So how could Uso and Reigns be, related? But that's not their real names. They're characters. So I'm okay with that, because not everyone has a great name, right? Not everyone, necessarily should be their name.
Totally.
It shouldn't have been Dwayne Johnson. So I get it. So I'm good with it. What I don't want to insult people's intelligence. Now you don't need to call her, Rockette and have her, do the people's elbow. I mean, you don't need to go, but Charlotte Flair, I like it. So again, as an older fan, I like where, there's overlap.
Yeah.
And I would prefer that she, has her own name, but does the rock bottom as a finisher and maybe incorporates the Brahma Bull into her gear at some point. Okay.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to call herself, whatever her real name is. I don't even know, but whatever Johnson or whatever her real name is. Simone Johnson, I think it is, or Simone, I think it is. But again, so I'm fine with that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That seems like what they're doing. So fine, you want to call him Braun Breaker. Okay, I hate it. But as long as you recognize that he's a Steiner, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think too, it's that old, I worry, people, of course, they're going to have people shit on her on the internet just because of she's the Rock's daughter. That's why she's getting a chance. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that, okay, maybe they may have taken an extra look at her because of it, but also she had to do the training. You can't, I know Triple H on recently one of those podcasts when he's talking about Logan Paul and Bad Bunny and stuff like that. He's like, the reason those people are successful is they put in the work. They don't treat it as, wrestling's not a sport or wrestling's all scripted and all this stuff like that. They come in and they work their ass off to put on a good match, and they understand do I care about Bad Bunny? No. But do I recognize that dude has one of the largest musicians on the planet right now? Yeah. You have to acknowledge that. Same with Logan Paul. Am I a big fan of Logan Paul outside of wrestling? No, not at all. Same with his brother. I don't like everything they do, but man, I will say in the last 3-4 months, you and I have sent more Logan Paul podcast clips when he has wrestlers onto each other than I ever would have thought. And so because dude knows how to do an interview. They're laid back, they're talking about the business. They're actually talking about the stuff you and I want to hear about, and not some bullshit, story or filler or, fake, whatever it is. We're getting some really good stuff from them. Even that was one of my favorite with Triple H, where Stephanie is just off in the whims, but they're calling her out. They're chiming in, they're having a really good time with it. And I think
excellent.
Triple H is way better at that, obviously, than Vince. I think that is a huge selling point. Vince never would do stuff like that. But I think it's a highlight. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. And I think that she has, she's obviously, put the time in, and I think it'll be good stuff. So, yeah.
I wonder if Logan Paul gets Vince McMahon on there at some point.
We'll have to find out. When he goes into the Hall of Fame next year, we'll have to see what happens. So, okay, so aftermath on this one, what's going on? You had Kurt Angle actually retaining the championship really for the rest of 2000. He matches with The Undertaker at Survivor Series, and of course that 6-man Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon. Rikishi on this one, of course, he was actually won the number 30 spot in the 2001 Royal Rumble. And so he was actually eliminated by The Undertaker. He eliminated The Undertaker, and then he got eliminated by The Rock. And so you kind of had that. You had the Brothers of Destruction then getting reformed with Haku coming back. And them feuding with the Dudley Boys and then the Hardy Boys, and then Rikishi getting hurt, and so kind of sidelining him for a little bit there. The Rock continuing, he said, his feud with Angle on this one, actually having a match. It was at No Way Out, February of 2001, where he actually pinned Angle to win it for the 6th time. And then, of course, you also had the Rock or Stone Cold on this one as well too. Stone Cold winning the Rumble on this one too, but then having, of course, the gigantic WrestleMania X7 match, Austin allying himself with Vince McMahon on this one. And so, having that. So yeah, just good stuff. And then The Rock eventually leaving as well too. I had forgot about the Power Trip tag team too of Austin and Triple H, that kind of taking place after this one as well too. But The Rock, eventually he was suspended, but of course that was the storyline because he had to go film the cinematic classic, The Scorpion King. So, PWI on this one. And so 2000, you had Kurt Angle at 13, Rikishi at 27. Austin was unranked and The Rock was number 2. It was not a ton written on this one because they really treated it. It was not it was a UK show. They didn't treat it and score it kind of as a pay-per-view. It just wasn't the way it did. So the Torch really didn't even have that big of a write-up on it, other than kind of listing the matches. Overall, kind of thumbs up on this one. This was the only match that got any best match ratings and stuff like that. So the Observer newsletter on this one said, really good match and great heat, or with great heat. Austin and The Rock together took out the Radicals, glared at one another, teased going at it, then drank beers together. Booking was so predictable. Angle gets the sneaky pin. Austin and Rock drink beers, but it was a fun match nonetheless. 3.25 stars. So, yeah, not a lot out here on this one because, like I said, I feel like they treat it as a glorified house show too. So, Tom, all we got is 3.25 stars. Where are you at on this one?
6.5. I mean, good star power, good fun match, flew by, got their finishers, kind of more like a house show, nothing major to it. So I liked it.
I think 6.5 is great. I think I almost was a 6. And then there was not a whole lot of wrestling other than like everybody just kind of spamming their finishers on each other, which a match like this, you could do that and it's not like terrible. And so, and I think, I say it most weeks, like send them home happy. I feel like this is the epitome of that. Like they sent the fans home happy. They got, I think back to some of these shows that you and I have watched in the last year or two where like, the show ends, you're like, what the hell just happened? Like, why is this? And I think this is the opposite of that. You got to see so many people that maybe you didn't see earlier in the card or something like that. And so just kind of running out. I mean, Eddie and Dean had matches and stuff like that, but I still think it's just fantastic. Just kind of, how they played that up. And so I'm with you at a 6.5 on this one.
Cool.
I want to remind everybody to still have time before those holidays. Make sure you're using our promo code at manscaped.com. It's 20% off, free shipping. Payoff is the code. And then as well, too, is True Classic tees, all kinds of great stuff there as well, too. That's Payoff 25. Payoff 25 is getting you 25% off. That's another one now, especially a lot of places like, weather's a little bit colder here. Get yourself like the fleece pants. They got, we talk about them being T-shirts and they're called True Classic tees, but they have all kinds of other stuff. And so whether it's
like jackets, everything.
Yeah, zip up hoodies, whatever you want. I know recently they just had a buy two, get one free deal. Like there's all kinds of stuff there as well too. Just whatever you might need, anything. They got button down shirts as well too. Like click through the store. You're going to find something you like if you're checking out True Classic Tees. So make sure to go and check it out. Tom and I bought a bunch of different stuff there. And so again, the promo code there is Payoff 25, Payoff 25. It's getting you 25% off and then free shipping anything over $100. So, all right, Tom, I feel like we have to send him home happy on this one.
Yeah, this was good. Good little fun match, great star power. And I'm pumped to cover next week. We got a 3-way cruiserweight match, 1998 Starrcade. A lot of fun.
Yes.
Luckiest man in the world, Billy Kidman, former confidant of Tori Wilson. So
yep.
Looking forward to covering it. Always fun. Appreciate the support. We'll see you next week on an all new episode of The Path.